everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Attachment Theory in Action podcast. I am really excited today to welcome Lynn Barts. Lynn is the proud owner of Baby and Me LLC based in St. Louis, Missouri. Lynn offers direct services for families who are pregnant and have young children through her role as a pregnancy dialogues facilitator and certified infant massage instructor. For the past 31 years, Lynn has been supporting early intervention, home visiting, and childcare providers in Illinois, Missouri, and other states by offering direct services for families, consultative support, and training for professionals. Lynn has been a certified infant massage instructor for 11 years and a licensed instructor trainer for the International Loving Touch Foundation for the past 6 years. Lynn has been working in the field of early intervention for over 31 years and has a BS in child development and family relationships, an MS in counseling, is a prenatal and perinatal educator, and has Reiki Level 1 training. Well, hi, Lynn. I am so excited for you to join us on our Attachment Theory in Action podcast. I am really interested to hear about your work, especially in the infant and early childhood world. I'd love for you to just give us a little introduction. Tell us a bit about yourself. And, one of the things that I know in our field and working with the young children and early childhood population is we think about how our experiences shape us. And so, if there's anything in there about, is there anything in your childhood that led you to be where you are today? Love to hear about that.
Yes. Well, Kirsty, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really grateful. And I actually brought my beautiful doll that I use so much in my work. This is Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Yes, she's been with me for 13 years. She hasn't aged a bit, which has been a beautiful. And so Katie will be with me today as we talk a bit about infant massage and prenatal work. I am the youngest of 5 pregnancies, 3 live births that my mom had. And when I think about my own experience, touch was something in my early years that I did not really remember being very positive. There was a lot of chaos in my early years. And I know now that me venturing into work with families and babies was absolutely the path that I was supposed to be on. Babies have always been my most favorite human. I remember when I went to my first babysitter as I was starting kindergarten, she had a 5-month-old and her name was Julie. And my babysitter was so amazing about letting me mother Julie with her. Letting me hold her, pick her up, carry her around, help with taking care of her. And I know that my babysitter really helped to spark that joy within me and that connection to ultimately my career. I think my mom probably wanted me to do something different. They had a family business, and I think she thought I was going to go that realm, and trucking and babies were very, very different. And I just remember that I wanted to work with babies and families. And I knew that from a very, very young age. And so I'm really grateful. And so as I think about my background, it really started then, having this opportunity to just be with babies. And when I was in high school, we actually had a child development lab. And that was a class that I really wanted to be in. And that really sparked a joy for me. We had a preschool there and got to connect with young children. And that sealed the deal. For me, when I entered college, I knew exactly what I wanted my major to be. I knew I wanted to be working with children. And so my bachelor's was in child development and family relationships. And I realized very quickly that going into my master's in counseling was going to be something that was going to help me personally with the chaos and trauma that was part of my own experience. I was already recognizing in college in some of my practicums that I wasn't as clear now, but now I know I was getting very dysregulated in the environments that I were in when they were really chaotic and kids weren't following the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew for myself then that preschool was not where I was meant to be, that working with families with littles felt more in alignment with my own temperament, my own ability, or inability at that time to regulate myself. That has
Mm-hmm.
been an ongoing process for me in learning to co-regulate. And infant massage has helped me to really learn about that in a way that has supported myself, which has allowed me to support families in such a beautiful way. Um,
I want to touch on before we go too far into this. I really appreciate, and firstly, thank you for sharing, for being vulnerable and sharing some of your early experiences, at least beginning to share some of those. One of the things that you said right at the beginning that I think is really important that we highlight is you mentioned that you were um, the youngest of five pregnancies,
yes,
and with three of those being full to term pregnancies. And I think that not that we not that that's the topic that we're going to dive into today, but I definitely think that we should highlight that, and I
yes.
think that that's a shift in mindset that not everybody really appreciates, that for a mother, for a couple to go through miscarriages, regardless of where or when that miscarriage happens, can be something that is potentially traumatic, and is a highly emotionally charged event. And so I thank you for your recognition and acknowledgement of that. Um, And I think that it's so important, especially as somebody who works with mothers and parents of young infants, to just be mindful of those experiences that they may or may not have had. Um,
Yes. My mom was young when she and my dad had their first pregnancy. And it was in the time when mothers were in the labor and delivery room and then sent back with all of the other mothers. And so when I think about my mom having her first baby be a stillborn girl, and then being back in the space with all the other mothers that had their babies, it really has helped me in my own journey of feeling disconnected and unwanted at times.
mm,
Um, really wondering about my mom's connection with me during her own pregnancy because she had a second stillborn girl. And I was their last chance, their last pregnancy. And I have a sense that there wasn't a lot of connection there during that pregnancy. And we know that research shows the more children that you have, um, the later born, there is a tendency to not have as much connection because of busy lives, right?
mhm,
Other children, work, all the things that are going on. And that has really led me to becoming my interest in becoming a pregnancy dialogues facilitator, to be able to support that.
mhm,
Having received that certification and my infant massage certification and being the Midwest trainer for the International Loving Touch Foundation, it has really helped me in my work with professionals and families to acknowledge that, to
mhm. I,
ask.
I want to hear more about that. I want to make sure, not right now, but that we come back to some of your comments about self-regulation and your ability to regulate. But yeah, tell me more about your pregnancy dialogues groups. This is probably something that's new to a lot of our listeners. I don't know if any of them will have experienced pregnancy dialogues groups. So I think tell me more about that, and would love to hear about, maybe what are the goals? What do you hope for your participants to achieve when they take part in those groups?
Yeah, so the Association for Prenatal and Perinatal Psychology Health Awareness, short name APPA, APP, PAH, for those that want to check it out, is an amazing organization. And that is where I learned about pregnancy dialogues facilitators. It first started in Norway, in Sweden. Sweden. Oh, we might have to rewind that. Oh, a little part there. It was Norway. First started in Norway, and there's so much research that supports the connections that happened prenatally for mothers that participated in these prenatal groups. And as a pregnancy dialogues facilitator, I have the privilege, this beautiful privilege of being with moms, 6 at the most, small intimate groups. Moms are 20 weeks pregnant or more, and they come together for the remainder of their pregnancies with the full intention of connecting with the baby that is currently inside of them. Mm. And we start our groups with a candle. 15 minutes. Every mom has a candle that they're given as part of their materials. And it is an opportunity for them to quiet, settle in, and connect with the baby. Over the journey, it's not a how to be a mother. It's not a how to be a parent. It really is my opportunity to create space for the mothers to connect with one another, to talk about their journeys, what they're feeling, how they're experiencing the pregnancy, things that may be coming up for them. And in between, we have these opportunities to help support that prenatal bonding and attachment. And so as an infant massage instructor, I feel so honored when I get to share this during pregnancy with families. And that is something that is part of the in-between, sharing with families how they can use infant massage during pregnancy to connect with the baby, support themselves. We have opportunities for them to do a bit of prenatal yoga in between 1 week to help, relax, regulate the mother so that the baby is doing better as well. I have a booklet that I wrote that hasn't been published yet, I'll say, but that I provide to really any pregnant person that wants it. And I use it a lot in my work with home visiting programs that serve pregnant families. And it's a book for parents, grandparents, siblings to write, draw, capture memories for their baby during their pregnancy. And to then have that as a way to read to the baby, talk to the baby. We know that babies are wired to understand, every language. And through that prenatal connection, hearing those voices and sounds around them, that babies prune away the neurons that are not necessary. And so this opportunity for parents to be talking with their babies helps to support the baby really learning that parent's voice, sibling voices, other caregiver voices, and the voices all around them.
So tell me a little bit about why is it so important for that connection? I think maybe people outside of our infant early childhood world will think, well, okay, when the baby's here and physically here, I get it, right? We need to be interacting and even then some people do think, oh, I'm going to talk to the baby while it's growing. But I think for us, we know that there is a very important need for connection way before the baby's here. So tell me a little bit about why it's important, why have these groups in the first place? Yes, I think definitely that there's that piece for the mother or the caregivers. And as somebody who has a young baby, those are thoughts that I've had, if we bring another child into the world, how does it impact my current relationship with my current baby? How do I feel about a new baby and so on? So I definitely see the importance of it for the caregiver's sake, but what about that connection and relationship piece? Why is that so important?
Yeah. So for the baby, it's critical. The baby is in the womb, right? Experiencing everything that the mother is experiencing.
Mhm.
And so when mothers become more in touch, and we now know that babies can understand and hear receptively before the ears are fully formed. So because we have this beautiful insight into the womb, and with all of our research, babies are conscious.
Mm.
We never thought babies were conscious. And we've known for a very long time that babies are conscious. And if we were really to get all of this information out into the world, we would have to change so many of our practices.
Mm.
And so for me, it's critical that we get this out there so that we can help to support mothers who are working while they're pregnant, to honor stressful experiences and talk with the baby about them. Because when a mother's cortisol raises, that stress hormone, babies raises as well. And babies don't know what to do with it. Regulation is not something we're born with. This ability, as we think about regulation, the ability to calm myself, the ability to manage my emotions, it's not something babies are born with. So when parents start to acknowledge that, oh, yes, oh gosh, the waitress dropped the tray and mama jumped. It's
Mhm.
okay. And we rub our tummy, right? If I were to imagine Katie was inside, she would be experiencing that. She would be experiencing my hand on my belly, which is directly going to her. She would be experiencing my voice being directed at her. And all of that is important when we think about prenatal bonding and attachment. And when I think about the non carrying partner, right? Dads, other dads, right? Who have a surrogate, this concept, this opportunity to connect with that baby helps to support prenatal attachment between non-carrying partner and baby, which helps to provide them more confidence, also helps the baby to get to know that other partner. And the
Mhm.
benefits for the carrying partner, right, are tremendous when they're getting that support as well.
Mhm. I love that you've mentioned the non-carrying partner because, it's I can only understand the experience from my experience.
Mm.
But when I think about my husband, or I think about partners, our non-carrying partners, and how disconnected they could be from the experience, and I think that disconnect is so can happen so easily because of the physicality of the situation. um
Mhm.
how important it is for them to feel and be as much of a part of that experience as possible. And as you said, we're already building those attachment experiences to the other caregivers around us. And as we know, secure attachment is the child's ability to go to other individuals, other adults, for care and joy and nurture and safety. And if, my goodness, if we're able to start teaching that, or having them feel that, because that's really what this is, it's that feeling, isn't it?
Yes.
um in utero and prior to birth, then we are setting our baby up for success.
You're reminding me of two specific instances. One, my nephew, who is an adult, has a baby. Um, and I remember, I mean, he was just like, feed me, yes, tell me, tell me, tell me. And so we started talking about reading to the baby, right? They went to bed at the same time. He slept on one side, his wife was on the other. And after they had gotten all these children's books, and so he started reading them at night, one a night. And his wife had some pregnancy complications at birth. And I am absolutely convinced that his connection with their daughter during pregnancy helped both of them to be together and content, while his wife was receiving the care that she needed.
Mm.
And I can see that now. He learned infant massage. They have such a beautiful connection. And I'm thinking about a family that I worked with via Zoom. This was the mother's second child, quite an age span difference between the babies. Her firstborn was 18 and she and her partner were pregnant. And this was his first baby. And we met via Zoom and we were talking about prenatal communication and how important that was. And they were doing that. And we came back together because they wanted to learn infant massage during pregnancy to be able to use it during the birthing process. Because we know the baby is born with vernix, right? That beautiful coating. And we know that historically that's been washed off, which isn't good, I'll just say. We know that leaving that on and allowing parents to be able to rub that in is another way to support bonding and attachment, as well as providing the baby with tons and tons of nutrients and antibodies that are in the vernix. And so they wanted to learn this. They wanted to be a part of this. And we had met a couple times and we were coming together towards the end of her pregnancy. And the day that we met, this mom was very uncomfortable. She was 37 weeks pregnant. The baby was sitting on her bladder. She was apologizing because she wasn't comfortable. And I was like, please, 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 no, apologies. And we started wondering together about the power of her partner's voice because the baby had been coming to him. And so the dad placed his hand on his partner's stomach and started talking to the baby, saying, very quiet, do you want to come over here? Come see me? And I couldn't see mom's tummy. I could see both parents. All of a sudden, dad's eyes got so big and this smile came on his face. And he said, hey, buddy. Hi. And I got teary. It was such an honor to be in that sacred, beautiful space with them. Even though I was a state away, I was there. And the joy that he was experiencing and the connection with his baby was profound. And he said, that's a foot. Like, that's a foot. And then he put his other hand down and he said, do you want to give me the other one? And the baby pushed the other foot on.
Wow.
Mom visibly relaxed. The way she was looking at her partner at that moment, it was beautiful. And he is the caretaker during the day. And their bond and their connection, he has said, is so strong. And he attributes a lot of it to connecting during that time.
Right. Well, and you've got me thinking too about, and I'll speak from my own personal experience, that sometimes us as mothers think that we have to do everything.
Yes.
We take on a lot of responsibility, and especially if you're someone who works in a helping profession, you maybe have even more of a tendency to do that.
Yes.
And so I just think about the magic that creates for both parties. You said you could see the mother visibly relax, and so not only are we creating this regulatory experience for the mom, but you're creating this connective experience for the dad or the partner. And I just think that it's magical that somebody such as yourself can help facilitate these experiences that so many people just don't even know exist, and how important they are. So I want to hear a little bit more about, you've mentioned the infant massage or massage. There's my English accent coming out.
I love your accent. You can say massage.
Tell me, I guess, tell me more about it. I, would tried to do a few things with my baby when she was a little bit younger, but I have absolutely no experience in it. So I guess tell me, I guess what I'd love to know is, when do you start doing infant massage? What maybe are some of the benefits and anything else that you'd like to share about it?
Yeah. So infant massage. So you are massaging your baby, right? Mothers, fathers, they touch their babies, and all of that is massage. As a certified infant massage instructor, there are particular techniques and strategies and science that I've learned. When I think about infant massage, I strongly believe that teaching it during pregnancy is a beautiful place to start because of some of the experiences that I just shared. In that moment with this dad and this mom, in addition to her calming, she was relieved of pain because when he put his hands on that side of her belly, the baby moved and shifted off of her bladder, which offered her physical relief as well. And so I think about, again, that capacity, right, of a non-carrying partner to be able to help support. When infant massage is taught during pregnancy, it can be a beautiful opportunity, as I alluded to before, to talk about birth plans, to invite families to think about what their birth plan is and whether standard delayed bathing is standard process or whether it's something they want to ask about because they are in charge, right, of creating their birth plan. And often this is something that isn't shared with families about the benefits of delayed bathing, the benefits of allowing the baby to crawl to the breast, to have that golden hour. And when parents start to use it, then it's very different than when the baby gets a little bit more fat on their body. They're able to manage their temperature, regulate their temperature a bit more. So I typically teach the newborn strokes until about 6 to 8 weeks, always depending upon the baby. And the newborn strokes are primarily as a way to support bonding and attachment, that skin to skin contact. So as I think about the little sleep that parents get, this opportunity to have a baby close, right? And laying skin to skin, how the baby, as we think about bonding, smelling, right? The baby's getting my smell. They're hearing my voice. They're hearing my heartbeat. All of those beautiful aspects really help to support bonding. It also, when I think about newborns, we can help to support babies that have colic. And colic can be such a challenge, right, for families and babies. And so the only tummy strokes that we typically do for newborns are if they're experiencing colic. And then once babies reach about 6 to 8 weeks, we introduce the full infant massage series. And there are 4 overarching benefits. Bonding and attachment is number one. It really, we see so many benefits to that connection. Stimulation. Infant massage helps to stimulate brain development. It helps to stimulate development in all areas. It is a beautiful way to promote natural tummy time. It is a beautiful way for babies to start becoming aware of their bodies and their body parts. It stimulates the bowels to help support more regular bowel movements. It also helps to provide relaxation. We tend to help babies extend their attention span, and we stimulate them so they sleep more. They sleep well. I have not had a parent yet tell me that babies have not slept better as a result of receiving infant massage. They sleep deeper, they sleep longer, which allows the brain to, right, seal those neural connections because the baby's brains need the rest in order for all of those experiences that they've taken in to be able to integrate. It stimulates, it also offers that relaxation, as I said, for sleeping, the bowels. So for babies, as we're introducing solid foods, constipation sometimes becomes a big challenge. And so the tummy stroke can help to support relaxation of the bowels as well. and then relief. They all overlap a bit. I I find great pleasure in assisting childcare providers, specifically infant teachers, in achieving their infant massage certification. For infant teachers in childcare settings that receive their infant massage certification, it is an amazing opportunity from my perspective to help families that are just entering care, one, to learn infant massage. And then as the parents learn infant massage, they have then the opportunity to let their childcare provider know if there are particular strokes that really help their baby. So that, and then give the childcare provider permission to use those specific strokes so that the baby is getting consistency across environments. And when we talk about attachment, right, babies often spend more waking hours with their childcare provider than they do with their families. So some infant massage folks don't agree with this philosophy, and I have had nothing but success when I am helping infant teachers to learn. It is not yours to use. It is yours to become an instructor and then teach parents, but parents always guide the way in you
Mhm.
using it.
Mhm. You know, in a world that has become really so afraid of touch,
Yes.
um, I think that it's I think that it's really great that there is a tool that parents can turn to. And, you know, if they choose to engage their provider in it, then,
Mhm.
you know, up to them, of course.
Yes.
Um, but, you know, we see so many young people through our doors at Chaddock who have only ever experienced unhealthy or negative touch.
Yes.
And what we know is that they seek out touch because as a being, as an entity, we need touch and
Yes.
connection. And so if we aren't getting that need met, we're going to seek out ways to meet that need. And if we haven't been taught the right way and the healthy way to meet that need, then we start using unhealthy ways and means to get it.
Mhm.
So it makes perfect sense to me that this is something that is hugely beneficial to
Mhm.
everybody involved. One thing that I'm thinking about though, and well, two things. One, a quick question. Tell me why you have a dog. Why not use the baby?
Yes. It's not my baby. Not my baby to bond and attach with, right? And as I think about my work in early intervention and home visiting over the last 30 something years, we've always been the one to do. And we take
Mhm,
away family's agency at that point. It's really not about my relationship with the baby. And so my doll Katie is who I demonstrate on. And for nurses in neonatal intensive care units, unless they are directly using the massage for the baby, right, as a therapeutic intervention, or someone has a license to touch, like a physical therapist, a massage therapist, or an occupational therapist, or a speech therapist, we should not be doing the massage for the babies. It's
mhm,
taking away from the parent's experience. And so I demonstrated on a doll. I always have extra babies because sometimes the real baby might be sleeping. Sometimes the real baby might move from that quiet alert state, behavioral state, into active alert, which we can sometimes help to extend the quiet alert state through that massage by making some adaptations. But once they're too fussy or crying, we always stop massage. And I want to have a doll so that families can practice. And if I have two caregivers with me, then one can be practicing with the baby and one can be practicing on a doll. And I also have found that big siblings love when I bring a doll so that they can practice as well or go find their own. I remember a big brother, he went and found his stuffed gorilla and he
uh-huh.
came down and he joined us and he did a little massage on his stuffed gorilla for about 2 minutes and then off he went. But it was beautiful because for that mother that I was with that day, we created an experience that was an entire family experience.
Mhm.
And often I have had beautiful conversations with families where if they always say, "Oh gosh, I wish I had known this with the first one." And I said, "Start now.
Mm.
Let's think about how we can modify this to meet this child's age and needs. And so we make adaptations. And so I have bigger dolls. I have toddler sized dolls where I can put my arms into their arms and my hand into their mouth so that we can do row, row, row your boat, where child is massaging, right? Mom or dad's arms as they are, mom or dad are doing theirs, where we're involving music and movement, which is also part of infant massage. So the doll is critical. The doll is a way for the parent and the baby to have the connection that is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for explaining that. I mean, it makes sense to me that that's why we would have a doll involved, and I just love that the focus is on the parent-infant relationship. Interestingly, as you were sharing that last example of doing row, row, row your boat, that is an activity that we use in our therapy services with children and families. And, you know, I often share with people that if they were to look at some of our therapy sessions, if they were, you know, a fly on the wall in that therapy session, perhaps with some of our older children, you know, of early teen years, and would sometimes see us doing something like row, row, row your boat with lotion, you know, many would look at that and think, well, why are they doing a baby game with a 13-year-old? And this is exactly the reason, is that we're trying to recreate and give that child that experience that they maybe didn't receive when they were an infant, to rewire the brain, to provide new brain connections that says touch is healthy, it's regulating, it's to help you create that secure attachment, you know, that I'm here when things are slow, when things are fast, when things are good, bad, and ugly. And so it's so neat that you brought that experience up, because to make that connection for people, I think is really important. And even what's so funny to me is that, and I can't remember which piece of what you were saying, but it made me think about, this is exactly the same as for adults. Oh, it was, you were describing the benefits of infant massage, that why do we go and get one as adults? Why do we do it? Why do we go and see maybe a chiropractor or whatever your form of therapy is? Why do we do that? It's for the benefits.
Yes.
Infants and children are just the same as us. They're just in smaller bodies, or we're just in bigger bodies. We have a lot of the same needs. And I think so many people forget that.
Yes. I know that for me, I will never stop getting massages. I started getting massages to assist my back, and it helped me to become more in touch with my body, which I did not realize I was not in touch with my body. But because of some of the trauma that I had experienced when I was young, I very much disconnected with my body. I live alone, and I've been feeling this need for touch. And so yesterday I had scheduled a facial because I wanted some loving touch. And I think that, you know, sometimes as adults, we don't pay attention to that because we're so disconnected, or we've had our own trauma. And I can see that in infant massage instruction as well. And infant massage instruction, when done with a trauma-informed perspective, can provide beautiful opportunities for healing for mothers who have experienced trauma, bad touch, because that sometimes comes up. Hesitancy, nervousness about what the baby might think or feel, especially if there's been sexual trauma.
You know, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Well, it's so interesting that this is where our conversation has gone, because one of my last questions to you that I've been thinking about is, what happens, or how do we help support when a mother or father, or whoever is in that role of providing the infant massage, it struggles with that themselves, when there are barriers that they have within themselves. How do we help support that?
Yes. A non-judgmental attitude is
Mm-hmm.
most important. Sometimes I hear when I'm helping other folks to achieve their certification, as they're observing, part of our classes are babies and parents coming, so that folks that are working towards their certification can observe me teaching, and then they get to practice. And it comes up somewhat regularly where we might observe a parent who may be interacting differently than another parent, might not be as hands-on, might appear a bit distant. And what I have noticed is sometimes folks go into judgment versus wondering about what may have happened to that parent. Did they have miscarriages?
Mm-hmm.
Had they had prior experiences? Are they experiencing postpartum depression? Another benefit of infant massage is that it helps to alleviate the symptoms of postpartum depression. But in the beginning, if those are really present, right, we might see something that looks a bit concerning. So for me, it's being knowledgeable, being accepting of where the parent is in that moment. And if I have a relationship that has been built in trust and understanding, my own experience has been that door has been opened, which then allows me to wonder with the family about potential therapy, potential forms of support as that parent is journeying into being a parent and wanting to do it differently than it's been done with them.
I think it's also so neat that, I appreciate you highlighting that often we jump into judgment. And we're human. We have to allow ourselves some grace.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's kind of a tendency that many of us have, is we jump to judgment first of all. And so I think about folks who maybe do want to engage and maybe become a facilitator of the groups, perhaps, or a massage therapist, and really encouraging them to think that it's okay. All of this is really about, and what attachment is truly about, is that repair process. Mismatches happen, breaks happen, trauma can happen. I think about the story that you described of the couple who the wife the mother had some challenges during birth, and the husband was able then to connect. We can't stop some of these negative things from happening, but we can decide what we're going to do with them, and how we're going to move on from them, and repairing and reconnecting after those times. So we can't change what's maybe happened for a mother or a father or a parent, but as you said, I love how you described it: judgment instead of wondering. And we can start to wonder with them to help them kind of process their own experiences.
Yeah, as I'm thinking about the family that I was describing, the mother had she learned infant massage during pregnancy, and that separation for her, the mother, she had already connected so deeply with her baby during pregnancy that it assisted them. And when they started childcare, their daughter had significant separation anxiety, to the point where they had to come get her several days. And I wondered if there was a connection from her birth experience. And I just wondered about it. Didn't do anything about it, but I wondered, based upon, right, the research. And there they were, leaving her with a new caregiver, and whether that might have brought something up for this young baby. and what we can do, right, to help support that repair process and connection process for her with a new caregiver.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also wonder if that same experience gave the mother and father maybe even some confidence in that, yes, this was a tough experience for our daughter going into childcare.
Mm-hmm.
But as parents, we've navigated some of those separations before. Therefore, I feel a little more confident in handling it. Yes, it's very hard for the child at the time, but as a parent, that previous hard experience has now given me a little more confidence in this new one. Perhaps.
Yes. Oh, I love that you're sharing that, because if I were to go back for my PhD, which maybe someday, my area of research would be specifically related to families who receive a prenatal diagnosis. I suspect that if we were to teach families infant massage, and for example, if a parent knew they were going to have a baby with Down syndrome, or they knew they were going to have a baby with spina bifida, where there might be, right, a separation due to medical complications. If we teach infant massage during pregnancy, and if we help the family to really understand that prenatal connection, do both parent and baby do better in the NICU? I strongly suspect the answer is yes. And I would love, if anybody's watching this as a researcher, I would love to explore this more, because I think it could really be a potential for helping our babies in the NICU and parents who experience early birth, especially for those that don't live close to the hospital. I live in St. Louis, and there are families that utilize our NICUs from hundreds of miles away because we're the closest NICU. And as a volunteer NICU cuddler, baby cuddler, some of those babies don't get touched unless a cuddler like myself is there, because their parents have to work. They live so far away. So I wonder.
So what you're saying is we should look out for some research in the future that you are going to undertake, Lynn.
Maybe. I do think that there is a great opportunity for us.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure talking to you. I mean, my brain, my wheels are turning, and I have more questions, and I'm hoping that our listeners do as well. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, your expertise, and hopefully in the future you might return when you've got some more research that you can share with us.
Yeah, so I would love that. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super grateful and just really honored to be able to help get the word out on behalf of babies everywhere.